So,
Sorry.
some questions and thoughts I jotted down. One of them was, what do we want to offer? As we think about our new library, what do we want to offer that we currently don't have the space for? As we think about the library into the future, how do we convey to our community members that libraries, modern libraries have changed from the old, and just come in and check out books? And how do we articulate that? What does a new modern library look like and feel like and program like? And how do we convey that to members of the community who don't understand? How do we create opportunities as we go into our planning? How do we create opportunities for user groups to speak up? And I think our city does a great job of getting the community's voice involved. So I'm looking forward to that part of community engagement. They talked about having hopes and dreams sessions, where at the beginning, a facilitator will get up and give a little introduction to the whole group, and then people break into small groups. And to be really clear about communicating with your community, so that community members as well as patrons know how this project is going to impact our city and improve our library services for our citizens. Some numbers they threw out were like 30% of your library spaces for children's programming, 30% for adult, 20% for meeting rooms, and 10% for staff. And it was interesting to go to my last session and hear a librarian from Canada, just north of Vancouver, small affluent community, how they were going through this process of deciding which site to build a new library on. They had community support, just evaluating the different sites and the impacts on traffic and community engagement, and designing on each site where the library would sit and how that would, what kind of light it would get at different times of the day if they wanted to have a garden, so it was just really interesting. And inspiring. I'm looking forward to getting going on our library. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have gone to this. And
yeah, it's at a different library in the country each summer. So it's amazing that this year it was in Spokane.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
So, can I ask the rest of the council that if they have any questions before you move on to the RFP?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I have-
so, okay, so I'm gonna ask if anybody has any questions for Kim or comments for Kim.
I have an observation of something that just to consider. I know the community has, and a lot of people have said, hey, we want a pool in the community. And if we had one, it would, who knows where it would be or what it would happen. I know in a lot of communities that do have a community pool, the library is near it. It just as it's sort of more of a community grouping of buildings. So I think that is something to, I know we're limited with what spaces we have, but if they're not too far apart, if eventually the city does end up putting a pool in, a community pool, that's just something to consider, is these public uses of city property and how close they are to each other.
Well, and at that breakout session, I went to that library from British Columbia. Their library was adjacent to a little outdoor amphitheater where there were concerts and picnic area and city hall. And so they were very cognizant that they did not want to move their library far from that central group of community space. They felt like it was really a benefit to have everything closer together.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I think that'll be one of the benefits of the building that the city has purchased for the new library, because it is more centrally located, and even though you have to go across the freeway to the other side of the city, it's still a little more centrally located for the other things.
Yeah, that's, I think, a big benefit to where that new building is it's close to the police station. It's walking distance to the city hall. It's, the town center and farmers market and all of that is all within walking distance of each other still.
And there is an empty field close to that library. I don't know who owns it, but there is an empty field. that
Just
might-
behind, yeah.
Just behind. So, I mean, there's possibilities, but, there are lots of hoops to go through. It's entertaining a fool, most of that. But I know that's right, Sean. There's been a lot of comments. And it's been for quite a while since I've been in the city about a city pool. So,
Well, and that would also, I mean, that ties into one of our big library, big demographics is our children's programming and
Mhm.
story time and with our young children. Cool.
so who attended with you, Kim?
Michaela and Jan,
And you three? Cool.
yeah. I didn't
Well,
meet any other.
thank you for doing that.
I don't-
I think there was some other trustees there, but yeah, that's who came from our.
Well, thanks for being there. Thanks for the report. Sounds like it
Inspiring,
was-
so inspiring.
Well, from the next librarian, I bet it was exciting.
I did tend to dawdle in the children's sections. But, oh, it's a really good book. Love that. The best book ever.
That's great. Right, so the RFQ,
Jenny, are you gonna talk about that in your report
I can talk
as
about
as
anything.
well?
Yeah, but you can share whatever you would like.
So the day after this was done, we had our interview with the only company that applied to with in a proposal for the RFQ. And so we met with them and my biggest takeaway from that was that the money, I don't know where the 2.1 million number came from.
It was just, the OAC report
Right.
that we got, that the city had done a facility assessment of the library, multiplied for inflation for 3 years, because the numbers were from 2022.
So that's the number that they were kind of going with, and when they were presenting, they made it pretty clear that that amount of money is only gonna cover the basics to bring the building up to code and get it. He said it's a great building with great bones and then I've gone from this and my brain is like dreaming of great library things we can do and we can add windows here and, this thing we could do, and they were just like, well, that's just gonna cover the HVAC and fire suppression, I think. And I don't know what else, I can't remember what else they included in that, but I was like, oh. So, Mayor Chris was there and she talked about talking with different companies, like maybe sponsoring a study room. So she's already been on that and, being very proactive about looking at alternative, ways to help fund our new project. And so I think it was a little bit of a shock, but I think also a good eye. How much it costs to get a building up to speed and because I don't know anything about that. And so yeah, and the question that I, put out there was, the thought reflection. It's like this is, how often does the city get a new library? So we want to make it the best that we can for as long into the future as we can envision and prepare for. So I'm in my teaching career and like I'm great on the vision part. So I always got lots and lots of it, but
it's good.
it's good, but not everybody involved in the project is, I wouldn't be a good person to do a budget.
No, because you've got the vision for all these great things.
My husband
but-
can attest to that.
There you go.
So, so I was reminded of the teamwork that it's gonna take to bring this new library to fruition. And I feel like there's a great team in our city, so. So Jandy, I think the details more, you have more in your brain than I do. But so the committee decided to put, I can't remember the name.
We've been calling them Townsend, just because it's like,
It's
it's
a
a
long.
3-name company, so we've been calling them
So,
Townsend.
We did send their name to the city council. That was
Yes.
it. And that's kind of where I left off.
So basically, throughout the process, we did evaluations and scoring and that sort of thing to come up with a number of, if we thought they were a good company or not. And then each of the committee members had to decide if they would recommend them to go before the city council, and we were unanimous in that decision.
So wasn't it also Teresa was gonna sit with you guys on that?
So it was either Teresa or Kim, and Kim was,
Okay, so it's either one.
yes.
Okay, I thought we had.
So Mark was there, and Mayor Chris, and,
Yeah, let's see, so it was.
Tim.
Yes, so we had, from the city, we had Mark, the mayor, and Lisa Key. And then from the library, we had myself and Kim from the library board. From the Friends group, we had Tim Olson. From the city council, we had Amy Kurtz. And we had a library patron, and, that was, I'm seeing her face and not her name. We had Natalie, thank you, Natalie Van Buren. I was thinking of her children's names because they come in the library every week. And I'm like, so we had a library patron who was all on the committee.
So, has that company been extended an invitation to accept an offer from the city to
So we have,
become a project manager?
we have a contract that legal is reviewing and that sort of thing. Basically, we will take the contract to city council, and city council has to authorize the mayor to sign the contract. So
But that hasn't been, that's not on the city council agenda yet,
it's for Tuesday.
this coming
Yes.
Tuesday.
As long as the legal review gets done in time, it'll be on Tuesday.
Would it be helpful to have us at the city council meeting for that?
I think if you want to attend, that would be great. We're hoping to have Townsend there also to answer questions, and then Annie Kurtz was on the city council, was on the committee, which I think also helps because she can fill in grant
Right.
gaps.
I would say that if, certainly not mandatory, but as many of the folks that were on the evaluation committee as possible, if they're available, whether it's virtually or in person, in the event that a question arises, to provide that context would be extremely helpful.
Does anybody have any questions for Kim about the RFQ or Jan?
So I think just the other point I wanted to share is, the interview committee, they're talking about the budget and that sort of thing, and they're like, yeah, this will bring it up to code. And so the question was raised, well, would it, since it costs so much to bring it up to code, would it be better to start from the ground up and just start a new library? And yeah, the company was like, well, that would probably be $8 million. So this
Well,
is a good building.
Yeah, and Jenny's put in for a grant.
Yeah.
right, we won't know about that if we're even on the list to be considered until what, September? Yes. So in September, we'll know this to be considered for the grant. And in my experience, if you can, and you've got a building with good bones and you can renovate the building, remodel the building to meet your needs, then you're going to be ahead of the game rather than trying to start
Yes.
square footage for commercial buildings. It would become quite expensive
Yes.
to do that. So no matter how you look at it, if we say we invest in this building for a library, it's a good return on investment. Any other comments about that before we go to Jandy's report?
Did you have anything else, Mark?
Yeah, so if, I had mentioned during my time that I was gonna use this to kind of springboard, and so this is probably the best time to do that. To bring it to the board's attention, just so that it was out there and you understood the relationship between the two things and understood kind of how it came into being that this would be coming forward at the same time. We have, through the conversation that we had
Oh,
at
yes.
the evaluation committee, when we were meeting with Townsend, the question was posed and there was a lot of discussion surrounding, does it make sense to look at other options for other city facilities as we're developing the new? So that we can get some economies of scale and from a planning perspective, have a broader plan. And this is principally to repurpose the space that the current library is in. And so through that, the city had already budgeted, and in fact, it's in this year's budget, a capital facilities plan to go through what's called a facilities master plan. And what those kinds of things do is they take a look at an entire set of facilities over a course of an extended period of time. And in our case, looking out to what is referred to in planning terms as build out, which is when you achieve your highest population. What kind of facilities is the city going to have to develop and staff in order to continue to provide services at the level that we assume they're going to be over that period of time? And so that was already an effort that we had contemplated, it's funded. But through the course of this discussion, we determined that it probably makes a lot of sense for Townsend to incorporate that into this effort. So in other words, under the contract, we would use the contract as the vehicle to execute the facilities master plan. The two aren't necessarily dependent. They aren't dependent. They're related, but they're not. So the facility master plan does not become a library project. Library project does not become the facility master plan. But since we are undergoing this process of hiring them to deliver the library, and they have expertise in this field, we came to the conclusion that it would be advantageous to us to use the contract as the vehicle to get the facility master plan effort done. And so when you see the contract come before city council, we'll have that piece in it, which wasn't originally part of the library, and it's still really not. Again, it's related, in parallel, but it's not part of the library project. So I just wanted to clarify that. So as that came onto the agenda and you were reviewing the documents, there wasn't any confusion. We were able to help answer questions in advance of that.
Mark, does that take, because wasn't there a capital budget item for library project as well in this year?
Yes.
So does that take both of those and combine them, or is that an attempt to get two for the price of one?
It's not two for the price of one necessarily. It will definitely save us a procurement effort. So in other words, contemplating going through the same process again to find an outfit that would come in and do a facility master plan that would have to work with Townsend anyway. Because they are going to be intimately involved in the space that is currently the library, because they're getting ready to vacate that as they design a new space. So they would be working very closely together anyway. So it gives us an economy of scale more than a two.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Lisa was at the interview and, in our discussion, the project manager for Townsend was all trailhead. And she said he was just awesome to work with, so, I mean, that enthusiasm was really helpful.
Because
And he knows our city and he knows how to communicate with our,
And he did the OAC report for the library for our 23129 mission.
They are a local company too.
Yes.
Yes, and
wondering if, because I mean, I don't think it's within the confines of the city administration or the council. I know there, has been back and forth, trailhead is negative for these folks, presenting these folks.
I would say no, I would say ultimately it's a positive because that has pretty universally been viewed as a successful project and the on the ground now that it's open and people have been using it for about a year. We have very good reviews coming in and, obviously from a restaurant space perspective, we're still working on that. And, that's really the area where people, come on. It's fun.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
That's correct.
Okay, no, that was the only thing sticking in the, in like a little flag in the back of my mind saying, are some people, going to hold that against them in considering them, but I'm fine, everything it sounds like that they know how to work with the city and that's the main thing we need. Just somebody who can work with the city.
Well, and,
It's, the company is not the same, it's just it was the main project manager. He's since switched companies. Yeah,
but as a leader of a project team, I guess and he'll be able to address this when council asks these questions during the review. From a project management perspective, the Trailhead project is almost a flagship or a prototypical example of what you would want a project to look like from a management perspective, because we partnered together not only with primes and all of what they call partners that are subcontractors. And in that process that is essentially called a progressive design build, there were many opportunities for that to go over budget and beyond schedule. And precisely because of the project leadership, neither of those things happened. And we were able to deliver a great product for less than the budget. Now, we extended the budget for specific reasons, but that was a decided event, and then within the schedule. And so those two perspectives, I think would be a positive for this leadership team to be on here.
Makes me feel honored.
Yeah, thanks. Shauna and Teresa, questions or comments for Mark and Jandy about RQ?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No
Shauna?
questions? No.
Okay. All right. So Jandy, you are on.
okay, so, I wanted to show you guys some stuff. Here it comes. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys some stuff from my monthly report. If you look on the screen, you'll see a graphic that says Adventure Begins at Your Library. So this is our summer reading poster, and the graphic was designed by a local Ridgeline High School student. So I wanted to show it to you. The theme for summer reading is Adventure Begins at Your Library. So they designed kind of a Liberty Lake graphic, but it also has like adventure books in the water. So I thought that was really fun. We did this last year, and it's something we decided we want to continue doing if there's students at the school who are interested in doing it. So it gives them great, on-the-job training, but also kind of gives us like local art for summer reading. So I'm really excited about that. Next to it is a photo of a corner of the library. Right now we have Ridgeline High School students. It's their graphic design project. They had to design a book cover. And so they have all of their book covers on display at the library right now also. So that's something really fun that we're doing for June. This past month we had Katie Frey. She's a local artist and she taught 2 adult watercolor classes at the library. So that's been really fun. Some other things I wanted to tell you about summer reading is we're doing a book club, which is something that we haven't done in a long time. This is a family book. So, each month, we're gonna do a different book for June, July, and August. They're all adventure themed, and the idea is that it's a simpler chapter book that you could read as a family. And then you can talk about your book, and then we're gonna do a movie night at the library. We'll talk about the book, and then we'll watch the movie. So that's something that Michaela came up for this summer that I think is really fun,
That,
to encourage people to read as a family. And, you know, talk about what you're reading and you can watch the movie.
That's great.
excellent.
So we're doing Call of the Wild, Mrs. Frisbee and the Wrath of Nim, and Bad Guys, which was a new movie that came out last summer, and that's one of our super popular series at the library this year is Bad Guys. The last several years has been very popular. So I think that's really fun. We're also partnering with the Hub Sports Center. I think I mentioned this to you guys last month.
Yeah.
The Friends are sponsoring our adventurer tag. So the kids read an adventure book, and then they come into the library and they tell us about their favorite character or their favorite part in the story, and then they get their brag tag. So ours is this one right here, the tree adventurer tag.
January, what date does that actually start?
It started after Memorial Day, so it's going on
So
right
it's already,
now.
it's
I've given out one tag, so. I'm sure we've given out more, but I personally have given out one. I think it will definitely pick up more once school gets out. And then, each Tuesday, Michaela is doing a Teen Tuesday at the library where the kids can come in, or the teens can come in and do different activities. I guess it's July through August. So we're doing some Nerf wars, escape rooms, cupcake decorating, all kinds of stuff throughout the summer. The teens are also sponsoring our STEM camp. They're doing it for ages 10 to 12. They're planning all of the activities. It's from 1 to 4. It's the week after the 4th of July, so we're bringing that back again this year.
So Jenny, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you guys, get, teams are kind of, how do you get that information to the teams so they know that that's out there for them to come to, besides just posters and stuff like that?
I think the way that it's most successful is word of mouth. In that if we have teens that are on the tag group, they'll tell their friends and then. But I think with teens, it's very much your friends have to be there. You're not just gonna go by yourself. So teens are our hardest age group. So we did have activities this last fall. Nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. It's most successful if they're involved in the planning and if they have friends there.
Basically, the tag group gets out and starts talking to kids.
Yes. So, but Michaela has gone to Selkirk, and I think she's going to Selkirk, Ridgeline, and Green Acres Middle. They do like a lunch thing where the Spokane County Library District comes, talks about their summer reading. We talk about our summer reading at the same time. So that's the other way that we try to get the word out. We also have it on our Instagram page, because teens are on Instagram, they're not on Facebook. But I think the key for them is that if they have friends that are also going, that they'll. The last thing I wanted to mention as far as summer reading is our summer reading show is next Thursday. We have Corey Jenks coming and he's doing a music and juggling show at Ridgeline High School. It's for families and it's at 6:30. It's free. So I'm just inviting people to come to that.
Is there a flyer for STEM camp? Or publicity?
Yes.
That's coming up in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's in July. I don't have the flyer in front of me, but I know that there is one, for it. And they sign up for the whole week. So, yes. Sorry, I'm gonna stop this so I can see my other stuff really quick. Oh, this Thursday, the library is going to be closed until PM. For the citywide barbecue. So the city's doing a staff barbecue at Orchard Park. So it's from 11 to 12:30, so we won't be opening the library until 1 on Thursday, so that our staff can go to that. Let's see. Book sale is this week as well. Our numbers for May are looking really good. We're still averaging. Earlier this year, we were averaging about 1,000 more people each month. For May, we were up to 600, so it's gone down a little bit. I think now that Post Falls is limitedly open, you can go into one room and pick up your holds and that sort of thing, so it has gone down about 400. But we're still up significantly, so that's looking good. Our books are also still up about 1,000 each month, as well as our downloads. So our downloads, interestingly, for May are up 1,500, which is really high. 1,500, really high for this month. And that sort of thing. I don't think I have very much more other than I had mentioned Michaela's been going to the middle schools and the high schools talking about summer reading. Miss Erin is going to the elementary schools. So she went to one of them this last Monday and she's going to the other one here in Liberty Lake this next week as well. They do kind of like an assembly and she's able to talk to all the kids at once about summer reading and tell them all about it. She's also going to some STEAM nights. She's going to the Riverbend Elementary School for STEAM night. And she also talks about summer reading there. So mainly everyone's just focused on summer reading stuff, getting the word out, getting all of that stuff. Right. It'll open on Monday. Last year we had 300 kids sign up the very first day. So it'll be interesting to see how many we get this year. But usually that first week of summer reading right after school gets out, we're extremely busy. Yeah, I think that's everything I have.
Questions for Jen?
None for me.
We can move on. Under business, Jandy, you were going to have a
Yes, the
copy
library,
of the library of things waiver that we could,
yes,
look
so
at.
you guys have one in front of you. I'm gonna share my screen also. I sent one out on email as well. Let me get this shared. I ended up doing a combination of Spokane County Library District and the CIN waiver, and kind of squishing them together. Here we go. Here it is. Share. So I modeled the layout on it after Spokane County Library District. Some of the information is very similar as well. The language is very much, I looked at multiple waivers and the language is pretty similar in all of them. The main thing I wanted to talk about that's different than what we had discussed is this top part is the same kind of language that I had shown you guys back in April. I did a second page, and this is what the county had, and it's kind of more about kind of holding us harmless if there were to be, you know, if you were to injure yourself and that sort of thing. So it ended up being a 2-page document. And it's something that they signed twice. So this bottom page is more holding harmless if you were to be injured in some way. The top page is that language that we had talked about before and that CIN had as well. So it starts off with your guidelines for borrowing and use. It says that you can check out stuff from CIN, you can check out stuff from Liberty Lake, it has to be checked out from the front desk. You have to have a CIN library card, it has to be in good standing. You have to sign your agreement before you check stuff out. If you're kid checking something out, your parent has to sign for you before you check out. And then we have liability. You're responsible for taking care of the item. If it's damaged in any way, you'll be charged replacement costs. If there is, let's see, CIN and its member libraries are not responsible for any damage or the loss of any data resulting from the use or misuse of the item. So say you have a laptop, you check it out, the laptop turns off, you lose all of your notes. take care of the item when you're handling it, follow any of the instructions that goes with it. So that's like the guidelines of use. And then we come down here to where you're signing. You agree to abide by the CIN lending guidelines. You agree to the library's policies. You agree to pay for anything if it's damaged, lost, or stolen. This language I took directly from CIN, or sorry, from Spokane County Library District, and I'm seeing in it that it says that you won't sue.
Yeah.
Spokane County Library District, so I'm holding that, so I can fix that. So this is that language that CIN had and the county had that's like very legal jargon. And so you'll print and sign your name and then date it. I'm gonna take this to Sean also to get his take on it. Something that I wanted to ask Sean if she knew is, so I bolded all of this use of the district throughout it.
Mhm.
And maybe it's, would I put in its place CIN or would I put Liberty Lake?
Yeah, because there's no definition of district unless it's at the top.
So, sorry, this is the county, this is Spokane County, so they use the district.
Got it. Yeah. But we're
Right.
using, so what we would want to do is add a definition in there where, because we have CIN defined and we have LLML defined. And then after LLML, put
Yeah.
new parentheses, and actually both CIN and LLML should be in quotes, just like thing is, because that is
Okay.
like the defined term.
Okay.
And then after LLML, put a new parentheses and say together the library, the, because since we're saying library of things, I'm like,
Maybe just say the library.
well, you wouldn't, yeah, so put that in parentheses, together. Yeah, before together.
Before together.
And then
There. Third time's the charm.
the would not be capitalized. And then library would be in quotes as the defined term. Well, it's not the library,
Just
it's
library.
just
Okay,
library. Yeah. And then anywhere it says district,
we
you
can
can
put
change it to library.
Okay. Okay, so that's what we would do. Okay. So my plan would be to have you guys look this over, send me any feedback, and then I would get it over to Sean for him to review as well. And basically, what the process would be is if someone checks out one of our library of things at Liberty Lake, or if they're at one of the CIN libraries and they check out one of our library of things, they would sign this waiver before they check out the item.
So, you'll bring it before, final approval to us after Sean has a chance to review it and have any
Yes,
suggestions.
Yeah.
Or his stamp.
yes. And if you guys look it over, because I just got this to you today, if you have any feedback, I would put that in there as well. And then we would bring it back to you.
Review.
I would put that ampersand after CIN in quotes, that second line as spelled out and. It's just a nitpick.
Okay.
Okay, and then, and you're gonna change anywhere where it says the district to
Change it.
library.
Yeah. If you don't mind, Sean, I might send it to you.
Yeah,
One more
yeah.
time.
I can do that.
And send it on to Sean. Because you're really good at all you and Bob are really good at all of the tiny little things that I don't lose.
Yeah, on the other side, the lending agreement,
Mhm.
your funds inconsistent. The
Yes.
part you cut and paste. Yeah,
Yes, the parts I
the
can.
part at the bottom, when you change that, just make it all one size.
Yes.
Yeah, and like it says, the Spokane County Library District, and that's where it's defined as district. That's where that got, so I can clean that up too. I will do editing of the document. I am not giving legal advice on the
No,
document.
no, of course. Yes. Yes.
Got it. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other, comments about the waiver? All right, and thank you, Jenny, for putting that together for us to
Yeah.
review. And for everyone else's, input. Okay. No, that was proper English, everyone else's, I don't think so. Anyway, I said, so, next up is the study room
Yes.
and the meeting room policy.
Yes. So we had a question about tutoring in the library, so I thought I would bring it up here so we could talk about it. But basically the question was, if someone's tutoring in the library and they're being paid to tutor, how does that work? Because the library, meetings in the library must be free. So I went through the policy again, talked to some other libraries on how they handle it. And basically the straight of it is, if someone is tutoring in the library, they're able to tutor anywhere in the stacks. But when you fill out a meeting room or study room application, you agree that your meeting is for free and isn't making any money. So if we knew that someone was tutoring in the library and being paid and using the meeting room, that would be a violation of the policy.
Yes.
But basically, we put up, people have to register to use the study room and they have to click a button that says, I'm not making anything off of using this study room. So if they click that they aren't, then we have to assume that they are not. But you are welcome to use any of the public spaces within the library and
I
tutor
was just gonna ask.
because it's a public space. And you're not taking resources away from anyone else because you're just using a table type thing in the library.
Yeah.
That's something I wanted to go over, is that we do have a policy regarding paid use of the library. And if someone were to use it in that way, it would be a violation, and we would let them know and not let them use the site room anymore.
Got it. Thank you for checking that out.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes, there was something I was like, I gotta think this over and look through and see what we have. And,
Well, and thanks for checking with some other libraries to see how they handle it. It's always a good policy to see how it's done in other places. Good. Anybody have any questions for, about that particular situation?
I do have one question. So if somebody wants to use the study room and it's not booked and they're not booking it, we allow them to just go in there, correct?
yes, we do.
Okay. So in that case, they could be using the study room for paid tutoring, but they're not booking the room. They're not taking a resource away from somebody else. And we're not asking them to sign or click agreement on the use of that room. But if somebody does book it and they're in there, they can be kicked out.
Yes, I think part of it is, part of our policy is you can't advertise, hi, I'm so-and-so, and you can't create a flyer that says tutoring in the library, study room, 123B, every Thursday at 5, $50. Part of it is the advertising piece of it. So it's one of those things where they could walk in and use parts of the library to do tutoring. But part of it is preventing people from kind of making the library their place of business.
Place of business.
Yeah.
Say, I'm gonna book the study room every Tuesday for the next 6 months, and that's gonna be my office.
Yeah,
That's-
do that. Yeah.
Can't do that.
So how do we handle it if someone does put out in a public space that the library is where I do my work, tutor your fee, but that's where I do my work. I do it in the library. How do we handle it?
I would say they can't advertise on a poster that's, hi, I do tutoring at the library at 3 o'clock on Fridays. But if they verbally tell someone, hey, let's meet at the library for tutoring, that's okay. I just don't think they can physically advertise on a poster.
I got
Like,
it.
yeah.
Let's say, in social media, they post that I tutor and I tutor on, this is what we said, on Tuesday in the library.
Mhm.
Um, they aren't saying,
I think part of it for me is saying, this is saying that they use the study room and then booking the study room. If they're just meeting at the library and using the library, even if they say it's the library, it's fine for them to meet at the library and use the desk in the back to do tutoring. I think a piece of it for me is saying that it's the meeting room or the study room. Because those are, we have designated them as, your meeting must be free. So that's part of the delineation to me is the actual room that's a limited use.
we should discourage people
Yeah.
from using the library, all kids get schooled up on certain things. I think it's great. I just think we have to be,
The line is kind of like using a free space for paid
Oh.
use.
The reality is it comes down to if the space is not reserved,
Mhm.
it is a quasi-public space
Yes,
when it's not reserved.
yes, that is part of it, is that
Yeah.
it's open, anyone can
And
use
if it's
it,
open, it's public space that anyone.
but if it's reserved, then it's private.
I think also it's an issue of if it becomes an issue of resource use and denying other people resource use and you're doing it for a fee, do we have something that we can go use to enforce if it becomes an issue? I don't think we need to go about policing people, asking them, like you said, Jandy, when they reserve it, they're agreeing to the rules. This is for free use if it's one of the rooms. We're not going to be going up to people at tables. Are you charging for this tutoring? We're not policing it. But if it comes to our attention, if patrons have issues, or if we're seeing an uptick in use that is questionable, do we have something we can enforce against something? And I think that we are covered in ways that we need to be covered if they're using resources that should be going to the public.
Like something in our policy that says like what the consequence would be? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think so. I think that our policies are enough to say if we have patrons complaining because they can't ever get the study room because you've got tutors booking it constantly, we can say, oh, we'll look into that. And if we find that there is one or two tutors that are constantly booking study rooms and they're making people pay for it, we can say, look, you're not allowed to do that. You've agreed to the policy. This is going to be a free room. This came about because somebody saw a posting and said, like, is this allowed? I think that it sounds like we're in agreement that if somebody wants to come into the library and use one of the desks that are, the tables that are freely available and they're not interfering with anybody else's use of the library, we're not worried about that. What our concern is, if somebody turns this into, or they're running their business out of the library and it's interfering with other patrons' use of the library, do we have a way to tell them you can't do that? And I think we do. I think we're covered. I don't think we need to change any policies at this moment.
good. That brings us to our agenda, except thing, is there anybody else online, Jandy, that might we would entertain asking for citizen comment?
No, not now. I have anyone else.
One more thing.
Any comments from?
At the city council meeting, There was also discussion of people going to the farmers market for the city booth. And they talked about having, somebody mentioned having members of the boards take turns going to those meetings. Do you think that would be helpful to have someone from the library there? Also, someone mentioned that it got crowded in the booth, so so I just wondered what your reflection, what your thinking is about that topic.
Yeah, so there is I personally believe that having a cross-section of representatives from the city commissions is helpful. But there is a sign sheet, the goal of which is to help kind of govern not overcrowding the booth. And so my understanding is that commission members, but we can send it out again and make sure you have it. But it's basically just a spreadsheet that you can go on and pick a date.
I don't think I got that. Did anybody?
Yeah. We'll send it back out. It may not, it may have only gone to the community engagement. It may have been thinking it was going out universally, but it didn't or something.
I think that would be really good public relations for us as we move forward with our new library project.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
there's a lot of having a cross representation.
and then if we do that, are there like sticker name tags for us or so we can, people know?
Well, I know the community engagement people have a tag. We've never had it.
I have a box and it might have little name tags in it. Let me look when I get back to the office.
But we,
I know I had them made and it might have been. Yeah, I might have tags for all of you. Let me look.
if not, we can easily.
Yeah, Northwest Business.
And then, like, I was thinking it would be helpful if we had like a little, take some of our library stats, and like a little flyer we could give people as we're talking to them about, so they see kind of what programs we offer, and
Summer reading calendar, but yeah.
it's extra work for you, so if you need help with that, I would
We could,
need to make, I don't need to make more work for the
we
library.
could just use a condensed version of that report. You could just, pick some pages out of that,
Oh, that's a great idea.
out of the council report. And then like add one page that lumps everything together. It wouldn't be, because it's a handout, it wouldn't be all the pretty pictures as much as just, here's all the things we did.
Still bullet points.
Here's the front page, which is all the numbers, number of cards, number of, visits, number of checkouts, whatever, and then the other side can just, be a list of stuff. That, like the programs and the group and the, children's programs.
We have a welcome to the library brochure that we hand out whenever you get a library card. So something kind of modified. version of that.
Mark, did you have a?
Not a serious one.
Well, if it's not serious, we need to hear
I was gonna say, be forewarned, if you show up to work in the booth, you will ultimately be recruited to sit on the planning zone, because that planning commission, or not so much, planning commission, because the majority of questions are about the map. So that's what, but that's good training in a sense, right? If you do have aspirations. Doing that.
We took the Liberty Lake class. I have tried to talk my husband into doing that. But he's just leery because when our daughter was a kindergartner, he always complained about science education. Well, we needed a science fair coordinator and he did it for 13 years.
Could be too long.
There you go. Funny.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So if Mark sends out that sign up, we're gonna have to make sure we at least text each other so we know who's gonna be working on what Saturday. That would be helpful instead of us all, so somehow we gotta share that sign up sheet so we know who's gonna work. Any given Saturday.
my personal thought would be to concentrate on the times after the 17th, after the soiree.
Yeah, since the friends will be there
Because
prior.
the friends will be, there'll be somebody from the friends, of the library there every weekend up to that. But we didn't schedule anybody from the friends.
Oh, that's great.
Good suggestion.
So I think if we concentrate on end of July and August and September.
So maybe we could get that flyer done and get that into the hands of the friends. That they have that to give to people as well.
Or we give out the soiree stuff then and
We
then.
give the soiree stuff.
You guys-
So 17th, and then we.
Right.
I mean, so then we have, we're switching up what we're handing out.
Good. Well, I hope to see all the soiree, all the board members at the soiree. It is a very.
I got my tickets.
I know you did.
Yeah, it is really a community, unifying event. It's fantastic, young and old, older. I'll rephrase that, young and older. I gotta be careful, cause I'm in that old category.
Move to adjourn.
We got to decide, I want to make sure that everyone can come to our next board meeting. Just because I know the last couple of years, we haven't been able to hold a July one, so. Are you guys all available on the 10th? Do we need to reschedule? Do we can't?
That date is July 10th, right?
Yes, July 10th.
It's on my calendar. I'm good.
Okay.
That is my anniversary week, so we might not be in town.
Okay.
I just plan on scooting down after the soiree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, but is everyone else available for the 10th?
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it fell on the day of the soiree.
It did.
Maybe that-
it did. Right. Any other comments?
Reiterate my motion to adjourn.
Did you say
Yeah.
it early? Or did I just ignore it? Oh, I must have, no, okay.
She interrupted.
Motion.
A second.
Say aye, please.
Aye.
I'm not supposed to say that, but anyway. You're adjourned. Thanks.